Ikea Oseiwaah Ahenkorah. I'm a co-director for Women Who Code Accra, and I'm the one leading the Power BI session for Women Who Code Accra, as well as the Python labs. I also work as an operations manager at EAI Information Systems, which is a software development company. So I'm glad to have you all join me in this session. So if you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Akua. Hi, everyone. My name is Efia Owusu-Fofie, and I'm the founder and co-director at Women Who Code Accra. I'm also involved with Coders Who Travel as its founder, and I work as a data analytics consultant. It's a pleasure to have all of you here, and I'd like to warmly welcome you to the group if it's your first time, and also I hope you enjoyed Akua's classes. You are really in good hands.
All right, great. Thank you, Fia. So we can move on to Christiana. I'm not sure if Agnes is still on, but Christiana, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So my name is Christina Santi. I'm based in Ghana currently. I've actually known about Women Who Code, I believe since 2020. And I've had the pleasure to attend several Women Who Code gatherings, but it's my first time attending a meeting organized by the Accra group. So a little bit about me. I work as a project manager with an event tech company registered in the US. So I basically guide customers to set up virtual, hybrid, in-person events, all types of events using our platform. I think that's about it.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Agnes, can you introduce yourself? Okay, Agnes might still be having issues, so let's move on to Sam. Oh, hi, Agnes. Okay, yes, do go ahead.
My name is Agnes. I'm based in Kenya, Nairobi. I've been working as a technical writer. I'm transitioning into training this month. I just got a new role to train AWS. I also create applications in the backend. I think this is my third session with Women Who Code Accra, and this far I've really enjoyed and learned a lot.
All right, great. Thank you, Agnes. Sam. Are you able to introduce yourself? I see we have like two Sams on. I don't know if it's the same person or they're two different people. So anyone can introduce any of the Sams if they're two different people. Can just unmute and introduce yourself. Or put it in the chat. That's also an option. So whilst we wait for that, Sarah, if you can introduce yourself, you can go ahead.
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Sarah. I'm based in the US. Just joined Women Who Code just recently. I come from a strong regulatory compliance background and just graduated as a software engineer just in July. I'm a data nerd and I love Power BI, so I'm excited to do the course, and I was happy to see it.
All right, great, thank you. Okay, and then we have Zainab.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
I'm Zainab in Accra. I'm a trained database engineer, but transitioned to data analyst, and I'm happy to be here. I'm waiting to learn from this class.
All right, great. Thank you. And you're all welcome and for joining the session. for our Power BI session and the labs that we would be having, we'll be having like 2 sessions. This is the first one, and the second one will be next week, Saturday. We're starting from the beginner level. So for today's session, it is introducing you to Power BI, getting started with Power BI, how you can easily get started with Power BI. Let me just start sharing my screen so we can go ahead. Okay. All right, I hope you can all see my screen now.
Yes, Akua, we can see.
Great, okay, right. So it's more of just getting started with Power BI. And for today, we'll just take you through, I'll take you through what Power BI is. So let me just go to our agenda. So for our agenda for today, it's introducing you to Power BI, why you would use Power BI, some key features of Power BI, then installation, and then we go into a demo. So demo in terms of we just build a simple report with Power BI. Okay, so that would be our agenda for today. Okay, at any point in time, you're welcome to share if you have some experience with Power BI previously. You're welcome to share some of your experiences, some workarounds you use. That is welcome. If you also have any questions, you can put them in the chat or just raise your virtual hands at any point in time, and then you can go ahead and speak. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just start the session. So do we have new people joining? We have Cynthia. Hi, Cynthia. You can introduce yourself in the chat. We went through the introduction session for everyone. So I think at this point, you can just introduce yourself in the chat and then we'll go ahead with the session, okay? All right, so what is Power BI and why would we even want to use Power BI? Okay, so Power BI is data analytics and visualization too. I know it does a lot more than that, but yeah, and that provides you insight for better decision making. And I believe we all here would understand the importance of making data-driven decisions, especially either it being personally or even in the workplace, right? So wherever you are, making decisions based on data is very critical, right? So in this case, you're making decisions that is powered by data, the data that you have gathered. And also, sometimes the data that we do gather and we have, it's huge, it's enormous. You cannot actually get any insights or drive insights just by looking at the raw data you have. But then having it in a visual form helps you see these insights, or it tells a story, and it's easy for you to identify some specific scenarios or some insights that are in the data you've always been gathering. And so we do know that data visualization, data analytics is very important, and Power BI gives you the ability to do that easily. All right, so then mainly, why would you, I mentioned that, why would we use Power BI? So the first part, in terms of me saying that Power BI is just a data analytics and visualization tool, that is my summarized version. On Microsoft's platform, it is stated that Power BI is a collection of software services, right? Apps and connectors that work together to turn your unrelated sources of data into coherent, visual, immersive, and interactive insights. Okay, so that brings about, it takes us to the next part where we have parts of Power BI, because it mentioned that it's a collection of software services. So it means that Power BI isn't just one particular tool, right? It's a collection of different software services. And a part of Power BI is Power BI Desktop, which is a free version of Power BI. In terms of, when I say free, the Power BI service, there's also a free version, right? So that's more like a freemium. But the Power BI Desktop, you don't have to sign up. You don't need anything. You can just download it and just start using Power BI Desktop. But then we do have Power BI service. So for Power BI service, that is a cloud service, a software as a service tool or version of Power BI, where you would sign up. You need a business account, then you sign up for that service, and then you have a lot more capabilities with the Power BI service. Then there is the Power BI mobile. So Power BI mobile is your mobile app you download, and it allows you to view your reports, your insights on the go, right? So you have these three main parts of Power BI. So why would we use Power BI? There are lots of other data visualization tools that are out there. Why would you use Power BI? You could be using any other visualization tool, but why, for me, I find Power BI good, or why I do use Power BI is mainly one, because it's user-friendly, right? It has this user-friendly interface. It's easy for you to find features, items, easy for you to move around, especially if you already have experience with some of the Microsoft Office tools. It's easy for you to move around Power BI interface. Then it also has integration with various data sources. Okay? So with Power BI, you can integrate with Excel, databases, a lot data warehouses, and a lot of other data sources that are out there. Okay. Then for the third point, it's because there is the cloud collaboration feature. I did mention previously that we have the Power BI service, which allows for collaboration. That's the software as a service component, and allows you to collaborate with your team, work on the same reports, also have a lot of other cloud features that is available with that. Then the mobile app, when you need to move around and you do not have your laptop, it's easy for you to just view your reports. Okay. Then the fifth point, there are so many other reasons why other people use Power BI, but then for me, the fifth, I just picked these five. So the fifth point is the language. It uses DAX in case you want to create like some custom calculations. And this DAX language involves Excel formulas, right? So if you've used Excel and you've written some formulas in Excel, it's easy for you to use DAX. So that is, these are like the five main reasons why I would use Power BI. So anyone here who's already using Power BI, do you have any other reasons apart from these five that's why you use Power BI? You can put that in the chat. Okay, so if you have any other reason why you use Power BI aside these five, I think you can go ahead and just put it in the chat. Okay. All right.
Akua, it's just a quick comment.
Okay.
One time I was deploying a Tableau dashboard for an organization, and they went with Power BI in the end because I guess it was easier for the organization to implement Power BI as part of the standard Microsoft suite of products. And so just be mindful that even though Tableau is a competitor, sometimes people go with the Power BI option because they already have the Microsoft suite of products.
Okay, yeah, that's understood. So we can just move ahead, right? If you do have any other reason, you can put it in the chat. Then from here, we're just going straight into installation. In this case, we are focusing on a Power BI desktop. So for today's session, it's more of just Power BI desktop. We are not going into the Power BI service yet. So today's session is just going to be Power BI desktop. So if you are a data analyst, if you do anything with reports, sometimes just personal, there are some personal data that I have about myself that I end up like creating these visualizations that helps me see get some insights from some data that I'm collecting, right? So in this case, if you do want to create these reports easily and have various features and different visualizations, you can just install Power BI desktop, have it on your computer, and start creating your reports. So for the installation, it's easy. It's also easy. It's just, as I said, there's just a 3-step. So you download the Power BI desktop from the official Microsoft website, and I would share that in the chat in just a minute. So those who do not know Power BI or don't know where to download it, you can just go to this link and download it. And it's across, they have versions for any type of operating system you're using. So if you're on a Mac, I do believe you can get that as well. So for the Mac, because I do use Windows, so I'm not 100%, I haven't installed it on a Mac, but I do believe there's a Mac version. So there is also the Windows Store. Because I use Windows, I usually install it from Windows Store. So for Windows Store, it's very easy. You go to Windows Store. Is that one for Linux? I haven't really checked that, but I do believe there should be. Has anyone worked with Power BI on Linux? Okay, there's nobody here who has. So probably have to check the sites to see if that is there. I do know they have various. Let me just check. So download. That's something I'll probably have to check and get back to you. Okay, so there's none for Linux. Okay, yes, Kristen. All right. So in this case, for just after downloading it, you go through the installer, right? That's if you downloaded it. If you are installing it from the Microsoft Store, it would install it, right? So that would include installation and everything, and it's easy for you. So for me, I usually do install it from the Microsoft Store because it's easier for me that way. Then you just go ahead.
Yeah, I see two options. Okay, sorry to interrupt. I see Power BI and I also see Power BI Desktop. Which one should we from the Microsoft Store?
So Power BI Desktop.
Okay.
Okay. And this is the link here. I just have it in the chat. So there's a link here if you want to download it yourself. Okay. And just to know, there are other Power BI tools. There's a Power BI report builder that's also there, and that's for paginated reports. But in our talk, we're just looking at Power BI Desktop and Power BI Service and probably the Power BI Mobile. Okay. All right, so with that installed, if you've been able to go through that or you go through that later, the next thing is just for us to look at the interface for the Power BI Desktop and build a simple report here. Okay, so I have mine open. If you can see it, since you can see my screen. So I have it here. I do have an account, but I'm going to go through without logging in. Just to show that you do not need a Power BI account at this point if you want to create a report. The account becomes very necessary if you are publishing it to your Power BI service. Okay, so if you were creating any reports and maybe your company doesn't have the service yet, or they haven't yet signed up for it, or you don't have any account that has access to the Power BI service, then you can just start working in the Power BI Desktop and create your report and just export it. Okay. All right. So in this case, well, a simple report we'll be using, we'll be getting our data from an Excel sheet. So it's going to be a simple data set. Let me just open the data set here. So we do know what we are working with. So this is a financial data set, and it's one of those standard data sets that Microsoft has for financial, but it's skewed towards, okay, all right. Unfortunately, I had this showing up right now. Okay. Right. So I have this data set from Microsoft. It's one of their sample data, and I picked the financial sample. But then this is mainly skewed towards the US, and we are women who code Accra. So I decided to just create my version, change the countries to cities, and just created some other products, and also change their dates. So for this version, we are looking at a woman who could, which I call a company, a fictional company, WCA Industries, right, which is an eco-friendly manufacturing company, right? And we look at the products that are being produced are mainly electronic devices that are eco-friendly, right? So either solar powered or ones that are good for the environment. So that's what we're looking at. So this is the financial information for WCA Industries, our eco-friendly electronic manufacturing company. And in this Excel sheet, we do have segments, which is the segments of our customers, the cities in which sales are being made. There is a product, some discounts, and some other information about the company, about our sales and finance. Hi.
Yeah, can you zoom out a bit so we see it a little bit clearer? Use the plus sign. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that better? Okay.
Yes.
Right. Thank you. Okay, so this is just to give, we just have some information. So we have a 2021 and 2022 data about finances, sales, and some amount of money that was made. And we have our customer segments, our cities, the products, and then the units that were sold, some sale price, gross, and the cost of sales. And then we finally have our profits, right? And this information. So this is what we're going to create some reports, a report on, and get some insights from this data. Looking at this data, you definitely do not see, or there's no insight you can really see clearly, right? So having it in that visualization in Power BI would help us look at it at a glance and see what is going on in our company. Okay, so let's go back to Power BI. So in Power BI, to get started, you're getting started with data, right? So because you're creating visualization is based on some data. So what you do first is to get data, right? To get the data and plug it in. This is your welcome screen that shows up. You do not need to see this every time. You can turn it off. But then it gives you the ability to just get data straight away or pick any of the reports you've already created. I'm not going to start with it. I'm just going to close this off, and then we can have like a quick tour on some of the things we see on the screen here before we start. So you have this interface that looks similar to either Word or Excel, right? Because if you have any experience with any of the Microsoft products, you see that it's a bit similar. I mean, there are some differences, but similar. You have your file, your home, and that's more of like standard of all Microsoft products, right? Office products in this case. So we have home, and that's where we have these I'll tell you, like, these functions that are easy, right? The ones I can quickly get and use them frequently. So we have your get data. There's also get Excel book, because I believe Excel is one of the most widely or commonly used source of data. And there are other ones. So SQL Server, Lake, OneLake. There's OneLake Data Hub. But I'm not going to go through into what these are, but we'll just look at some of the quick and easy too. So there's also a text box. If you want to add, you can add visualization from this point, right? So this just gives you ability to add a lot of things. There is the insert, and under insert too, you have a lot of other functionalities available. There's modeling. We will not be going through modeling in this session, so that's something that we'll get to know more about in our next session. Then there's also view. So view gives you some functionalities as well. And then there's optimize, right? And finally help. So there are all these functionalities that are there that you can just check those out later. One important tab is this tab, the visualization tab on the right. So this is where you get to see the different visualizations that are available. You can also add some more visualizations. So these are the standard ones that comes with Power BI, but you can always add more. There's a marketplace where you can import and install other visualizations that do not come by default with Power BI Desktop. We do have this tab here for data. This is where you'd see your data that is connected to this particular report you're building, and you can make some changes to that. We'd see that and work in just a few minutes. Then we have the filter. So the filter tab also allows you to put in specific filters for your pages or visualization. Okay, so I think this is enough in terms of the tour of our workspace and what we'll be dealing with. We have probably finally, there's our reports view, and that's the view that we'll be working in throughout today. The other views we'll look at in our subsequent sessions. Okay, so let's get started and start with getting our data. We are using an Excel book, so we can use this, but since I want us to see the multiple sources that are available, we'd go with get data and we'd go with more. Okay, just so that we get to see all these various and other sources that are available. So there are various sources. There are many sources here, right? So you have the file grouped into file, database, Power Platform, there's Fabric, right? There's Fabric, which is in preview, there's Azure. So if your data is in Azure, it's easy for you to get that as well. There are other online services. Right? So many other online services, Salesforce, Google Analytics. So any of these tools, GitHub, right? Any of these tools you're using, you can easily connect to them because the connectors are available. Then there's other, which has other data sources that are not in these categories. So we have a SurveyMonkey, and many others, right? So there's web. You can actually grab data from a website, especially if it has a table. So you can directly grab that data from that website. Definitely you'd have to look at the data, if you can use that data, right? It has to be one that is easy for you to pull and use. So you can grab data directly from the web as well. Okay. For our case, we're using Excel. So we'll go straight to Excel, connect. And I do have my, okay, so let me go straight into, okay, no, where I want to go to. So Women Who Code Akua, Power BI Labs, so financial sample, okay. Oh, it's new, sorry. I had this open, I forgot that I had it already open. So let's just close it, refresh, open, okay. Okay, great. So we have our data here. You do see that we have two. So there's financials and then there's the sheet. So the sheet here is looking at everything on that sheet. So sheet one in the Excel. So in our case, sheet one is still just a table. There isn't any other word or any other text outside of the table. So it makes it look like it's the same thing, but they're different. This is sheet one is looking at the whole sheet. Financials is looking at the table. Okay, so in sheet one, we have a table called financials. So this is specifically to the table. In our case, because there's no difference, we can actually load any, but I'll go with just the table. Okay. You have a quick preview here for you to see the data you're pulling in. Okay, so we do have this quick preview. We get to see that, okay, this is the right data. That's what I really want to pull in. Then down here, we have load. So load means that you're just loading the data directly. Then there is transform data. Sometimes you need to make some changes to the data. Okay, probably some header names are not correct. There are lots of things that you can do. In this case, let's go with transform data and make some few changes and then get back to creating our report. So transform data. Okay, so transform data opens this Power Query editor for you. And this also has a lot of functionality, right? We're not going through every functionality, but then we'll just pick some few and make some quick changes to our data, right? So this allows you to add more columns, transform existing columns, right? And change some other information. So we would go with, in our case, we have segment CT, there's product, we do have this combined and units sold. So units sold, I do see that units sold, we have like decimals, right? So I don't know if you are selling equity, I don't know how you are able to sell like a 0.5 of the TV, but then there's something that is in our data. So what I want to do is change this into whole numbers. Okay, so I just want it as whole numbers because for me, it doesn't make sense to have like a decimal of for products, right? In some products, it's feasible, but not in our case. So what I do is select this column, and you do see that there's data type here, right? So the data type says it's a decimal number. You can just click on that and choose whole numbers, right? There are lots of other options here, but I'm going to pick whole number. So whole number gives you the option, do you want to replace the current existing, if you want to convert the existing data, and that's what we want. So replace current, and our column data changes, right? You'd also see here under apply steps that all the steps you're taking are here, are being recorded here. So if there's a step you point in time that you'd want to reverse, you can just click on this X and that step would be deleted. So let's just undo this. So the moment I deleted that, it just undid what I just did, right? So let's go back and get that step in there again. Now, with that said, let's see what else would I want to change with my data here. Okay, so it says month number. And usually the column names are used, month number, I think I can keep that. There's month name. I think that's the one I want to change. So month name, usually the column names are what shows up in the report. You do have the option to change it on the report, but I just want to change this to, I'm going to change this to month, okay? So I've renamed my column to month, okay? And then let me see if there's anything else I would want to change here. I think that's enough. For our data, it's okay. We are not making a lot of changes. So with that, I just go straight to close and apply. And then I would apply my changes. Okay. Okay, so my changes have been applied. I have no visualization, but you see I have data here. It says financials. And I get to see these these fields that were in my Excel sheets, right? So now I can use these for my visualization. Okay, so for this report, we would probably build something simple. First one is we want to see the profits by month, right? We want to see how much profits we are making monthly. So I'm just going to pick this visualization first. So just click it. I have this here, and I actually picked the stacked. I don't know if that would be the right one, but let's go with the stacked one for a start. And if that doesn't work, we can always change visualizations easily. So I want to see I want to see my x-axis being my month. Okay, so I want actually I'll pick that being not just a month. Let's go with the whole date. Okay, so month, yes, that would work, but I'm going to go with the date. So I want to see how much profit we're making all the time. And then we have this. So we do have dates here. And I'm not sure what the data type is, but it is not giving me what the date is supposed to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going back to my data to make sure it's actually a date column, because this is not giving me date column vibes. So let's just go to edit query again and look at our dates. Oh, it's actually a date column. It does say date. Okay, great. No, data type is any. Okay, that's weird. So my data type is saying any here, and this is actually a date. Okay, now, yes, so that makes sense. So now it's a date, right? So initially the data type was weird. It didn't automatically recognize or identify it as a date. So it was just not giving me some of the other features and functionalities that Power BI has for date. So apply changes. Yes, great. So now we have it as a date. And you see that the moment we change that to date, our visualization changed, right? Now it's giving me specific months and year, and it looks different. Okay. This is because with dates, Power BI automatically gives you some date hierarchy where you get the month, the year, the month, the quarter, and the day. So you can play with that and either group them by year or by quarter. Right? So that is available in Power BI. That's what I wanted to show. So let's go with date hierarchy here. So because I picked date hierarchy, we have it as the year, the quarter, the month, and the day. I'm not sure we want to see anything specific to a day, so I'm just going to take out the day, and then we have it as a month, quarter, and a year. Okay. All right. So this is our first visual. We would make other changes to it. In this case, it says count of profit and year. Okay. So count of profit, I just want this to show us profits, and it's not supposed to be a count, right? So let's just go ahead. I'm changing this to profits. And also, okay, so it's giving me count, but it's not supposed to be count because this is a numeric value and I want to sum it instead, right? We don't want to count our profits. We definitely count the records of our profits. We definitely want to sum it. So I think I really did a bad job at looking through the data and transforming it. It seems a lot of other data types are not giving me what I want them to. So this says this is also saying any. Okay, so no, there's actually some decimal value. So let's go ahead. And just to make sure that everything is right, I am going on with this. And I think my decimal numbers are not right. Okay. All right. Sales is also definitely decimal. Power BI usually does a very good job of identifying the data types, but for some reason, this one didn't really do that good. So let's just go ahead changing them all to specific and some fix this one number. Ended up being dollars. I don't want it as dollars. So let's just go ahead and make it decimal instead. All right. changing decimal. Okay, so I think I have like a pretty fair value for the data I would be dealing with. So we have CT, we have this, we have that. When we look at units sold, is okay, sales prices, okay, sales. Okay, sales is also okay. So I'll go ahead and close and apply. Great. So now now that we change that to a numeric value, see that there are a lot more I can do here. Instead of just counts, it's sum. And what we want is to sum the profit values, right? So I get to sum it instead. So automatically now we do get it as a sum. So that's for our first visual, being profit by year at this point. Let's move in, let's pick out a different visual here. We'd probably also want to see profits that are being made in different locations. Okay, so we do have the cities, and we can pick this visualization here, which is the map. So put in the map here, and then the location is going to be our city, and these are cities in Ghana. Oh, what is happening to me today? Okay, so my map visual is disabled, and this wasn't disabled yesterday. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that today. So I'll say file options, global security. Okay, great. So has anyone experienced this before? Like, this is the first time I'm experiencing this. Anyone experienced this issue before in terms of map? So
Yeah, you're having problems populating the map?
Yeah, and this like the first time. I mean, yesterday I actually went through this and it was okay. So I'm kind of like
I know in
surprised.
Tableau when it fails to upload, sometimes it's the longitude and latitude values. Does Power BI use those?
No, it doesn't. Mainly it's just for the map that I'm using, it's not actually about longitude and latitude, you're just picking the names. So that was like supposed to work here.
Try refreshing or something.
Yeah, so let's just go to security and see if there's anything. So custom visuals. Okay, map visuals. Okay, for some weird reason, my map visuals got unchecked. So let's see. Do I have to refresh or just pull it in? Let's do this. Bubble size. Okay, great. It's working now. So in case you do come across the same issue, and this is the first time this happening to me, but if you do come across this, then just what I did now, you just go to options and settings, options, then when that opens up under security, you would have map and field map visuals, right? So you just have to make sure that that is checked. If that is checked, your map should work. Okay. So with this map here, we have our cities and the profits. Okay, so you do see that in our data, if we were to look at our data, we have just the city names. Like, we don't have longitude, we don't have latitude, we don't have anything like that. All we have is just the city name. And because the city names are existing cities on the map, they actually map them correctly. So we have Accra. If you do hover over Accra, you do see the city and the sum of its profits. Okay, so you have all these bubbles. The bubble sizes matches the amount of profit or the value that it's being made there. Okay, so you can just hover on those and you get those insights as well. This is me zooming. Okay, I think this makes sense. Or let's zoom in a bit. Okay, all right. So now we have our profits by city. And again, I'm just going to rename this instead of sum of profits. Just edit this here and it would say profits by city instead. Okay, so we have our profits by year, we have our profits by city. Final visualization, final insight that we'd want to look at is our profits, our sales actually, our sales by the product and also our customer segment, right? The segments that we have, we want to see the sales that is happening there by the product, okay? So in this case, I'm just going to pick one of the visuals. We'll look at the visuals. So if you have one visual selected and you click on a different visual, it changes that visual to the newly selected visual. So just keep that in mind. Now, let me pick this. We would look and review at the visuals, right? And then at that point, I think I would be expecting a lot of like feedback from you guys in terms of which visuals probably give more insight, okay? So right now I'm just picking random ones, right? Let's pick this tag and say that for X, what we are looking at is our product, right? So we want our product, and then we do want it by, let's see, we want our sales price. Okay, so, and not sales price. Okay, pick the wrong one, I mean sales for sales. Okay, sales is here. So our sales, the sales we are making. So profits, let me add segments here. Okay, no, that didn't make it work. So I'm just going to put segment in and see if it would segment it correctly for me. I'm just picking it here. Okay, great. So our segment is our legend, right? So in this case, I do know that we could put it in a legend, but the other cool functionality with Power BI is you can actually, instead of dragging it here, you can just drag it into the visual directly. Okay, so let me just go back here. We have our X. Let me see. I just pick this here, right? So the moment I check this, so there are multiple ways for you to do it. Checking it automatically fills your visualization, right? Now, when I check sales, it automatically does it, right? And then I go in and I check segments, right? And it automatically does that for me as well. Another option would be dragging it from here and putting it here, right? So drag sales and then drag segments, okay? And it does that also for me automatically. Okay, so with this again, I'm going to take out some and just have it as sales. So we have our sales by product and segments, okay? So these are like the three main visuals we want to show. There are lots of other visualizations here, but then we can just go through and pick and settle on the one that gives like the right information we would want to see, or how we want the information presented, or which visualization is actually giving us enough insights, right? So for this first one, we have it as product by year, and we're using a stacked column chart. Okay, so let me just go here. Any comments? Does this give any insight? Is this enough? Is this something that we should, is there any tweaking we should be making to this? Any thoughts? So this part is going to be collaboration. This is being so I'm expecting some feedback. Okay, so or reaction, or put it in the chat. Is there any, do you think this visualization is enough? Is it giving the right information? Is there something we can do to it to make it better? If you want to see the profits by time period. I know it says profits by year, but it could be any time period, right? So profit by year or by month, by specific date. Is there any, does this visualization help us get what we really want from, if we're looking at the profits that we are making over a period within 2020 and 2021?
Can we go with the line chart?
A line, okay, all right. So line, okay, so there's a line chart. Let me also, let's do something like, okay, so date, is this okay? Instead of the hierarchy, I made it because I think the years were just 2. So instead of the hierarchy, we just pick like specific date. Is this okay? Does this look better?
Yes, this is better.
This is much better. Okay, great. All right, so good. So as I said earlier, you can just click, we'll get back to the line charts, but then you can just click on the different visualizations. And then with the same data, you do get it in these various forms for you to see which one actually works for you. There's the area, the stacked area, in this case, wouldn't make any difference. And then there's a line, okay? So you can just pick which visualization actually meets your needs or is giving you the right information or the right story you want to tell, okay? So that's it. For the map, I mean, that's limited. We don't have a lot of maps. So if you do want to have it by city this way, yes, map, we could actually make it, we could actually just pick that and make it a bar, right? So it could have been a bar chart. It could actually be a line chart. I don't know if that would make sense. Or an area chart, right? So we have all these visualizations, but then having it in the map, I think that gives like the right information. It's easy for you to look at those, okay? Especially if you're in a particular location, you want to see how that spreads across. All right, and then we can look at the last one here, which has a stag. All right, some of them would be like my personal preference, but I'm not always, there are cases that I would be a fan of stag, but in this case, I don't think stag will probably do the job. So if you have something like this, for me, I think if you have a different thoughts, you can also bring it up. But for me, this gives me more visualization. I can tell which segment is actually doing, like, I mean, the other ones I can tell as well, but this makes it very clear, right? Compared to the different channels, right? So a different segment would see the ones that are really doing well and the ones that are really doing bad, right? I don't know if you agree with me or not. So if you do agree, please do react. Is this better than the stag or not? Agree. Okay. Okay, great. Christiana, that's great. So yeah, Christiana agrees that this is much better. There are pie charts, donuts, yeah, like all those are available if you want to. There's actually scatter charts. So there are so many visualizations here. In this particular case, we are going with just these ones. So I picked this, and I think this gives like better vision and better visualization. I'm going to add one more. Yes, Christian, yeah, the products are a lot. So having it in a pie chart, yeah, makes it difficult to see. So I'm just going to add a table here because I want us to see that I can actually add tables as well. Okay. So for tables, you do have it in whichever all you have to do is just drag the information you'd want to see. Okay, so CT, let's go segments, profits, okay, sales, or let me just swap them here. So we have the profits, the sales they are making. So as you add on, it expands. Then you get to have the CT, have this. You can also format these into any form you'd want it to be, right? There are different visualizations, not visualization, but different formatting for this. But you can easily add a table. If you do want like a bit more complex ones, and you'd want to go with a matrix, there's also a matrix for you. Okay, so you can go with matrix, and that gives you different aspects. Okay, so there's a difference between the matrix and then the table. Okay, so table is just a simple table. Matrix then is giving you the CTs by the segments. Okay, so it helps you view it. So it's more of like a data visualization session, a table view of this, right? Something like that. But I'm not going to go with this. We don't want tables in our report today. So I'm just taking that out and then with this. But then there are a lot of visualizations. And for our simple reports, we'll just deal with these 3 visualizations. Okay, so with this said, we can interact with, hi, sorry for the background noise. My dogs are making, I just back in here, so sorry about that. Hopefully that doesn't distract you. So with that said, we can actually also add filters or slicers in this case in Power BI. So you probably sometimes want to view it for just a particular period, right? We did say dates, but maybe we would want to just view for January or just the first quarter or just 2021, right? We want to easily do that whilst interacting with the report. So to do that, there's a visualization called slices here. So slicer, and that allows you to filter the data or the data you have in your reports. Okay. So for this particular one, we would pick the date. Okay, so our date here. So if we look at the date, by default, we are seeing it as a slider, right? Where when you do change, you slide along, it changes the dates. You see all our visualizations are changing based on this. There are also different looks for it. You probably don't like the slider. There's a format section. We've not talked about the formatting. That's what I was waiting to talk about it later, but then I think we can talk about it now when it comes to this. So there's a format section for Power BI, where for each visualization, clicking on this here, this is the format your visual. So clicking on this here, I come to slide settings. It's currently between, which is giving us the slider view. We can go with vertical list, and that gives us this, right? Just before we do that, I do want the dates in a hierarchy form, right? Right now, there's no hierarchy, so it just looks weird in this, in here. So let me go back to my data, and go to date hierarchy, right? So when I change it to date hierarchy, now it's easier, right? So now I can pick it in my year. It's grouped in year, quarter, then I have my months, and then I have my days. Okay, so if you want it that detailed, for me, I'm just taking out the day. Day might not be important. I'm also going to take out the quarter, so that's just going to be the year and the month. Okay. So we have this here, and then we can have it this way. So I'm just going to make changes to the visual so that I can put it somewhere. All right. So with that, since we talked about the formatting, I think I want to spend a bit more time. I'm going to spend a bit more time talking about the formatting aspect. So for our slider, we've already looked at the vertical list, right? So vertical list, there's also a drop down. Okay, so instead of it having been a list, it could have been a drop down, where you just click and choose about. Then in this case, we're choosing the vertical list, right? So this is because of the slider. Slider settings or the visuals that are available is dependent on the type of data. Okay, so let me just go in and pick one slider and let's play around with the different types of data we have, right? So let's say we have CT. CT is more like a text. So let's go here and see what settings we have. So for that, we have a tile and a drop down, right? So we have the vertical list, we saw the vertical list, so it can be a drop down, and then we do have a tile. So a tile here gives it this form, right? So if you wanted something to be like kind of like buttons in a way, you could actually have it, right? And this is responsive, so you could have it this way. If you wanted it to be buttons, then it would have been here, and clicking on it would work. This would be like vertical buttons. If you want it as a horizontal button, you can also do it this way, right? And this would be up here on your report. So when I click on Tema, my data is just going to change and just show Tema data. Okay, so there, right? So the sliders also give you a lot of functionality and what can be done here. Now let's look at, instead of, so that's for text. Let's look at maybe numeric values, what it would give us. So probably still price. Yeah, still price the best. So let's go to the slider settings, and for that we have vertical lists. We do have the tile. We've looked at the drop down. There's the between that gives us the slider view. Then also there is the less than or equal to. So it's still a slider, but then it gives you like that there's a specific value in which it uses. And then there's greater than or equal to. Okay. So that's it for the sliders, right? To see what you can do with the sliders. So I'm deleting this because we don't need that. For our reports, we're just looking at the year slider. We have this here, we have that, and we have our sales by product and segment here. Okay. Any question at this point or any other? Yeah, I think you'd want us to try. If there's something you'd want us to experiment with, it's open here. If you have any questions to, you can ask them at this point. Okay. So it's, all right, so moving on then. If you do have any question at any point, please do raise your hand or put it in the chat, okay? So with that said, our report, we definitely want to give it some title, right? Give it some information, because this is a report that either you're going to use or you would share with other people. So you would want to put in some text that would give it like more information. What am I looking at here? What kind of report are we looking at here? In this case, you can go to the insert. So with the insert, there is text box, right? So text box here, you can just key in you'd want. So let's go ahead and let me just key in. I would move it to the location I want it to. So we'd say WCA industries executive summary financial report. Okay. And maybe change this to like 18. So 18, okay, I'm going to put that here. So we change this to 18. I'm just going to have it cover everything. And make it bold. Okay, so we can change, let's see, 20. Okay, so now our report has our title, we have our heading, and we do have this report that would work. It works well. We can interact with it easily. We can look at specific data points. Clicking on one data point affects all the other reports as well. So there is interaction between all these visualizations on the screen. If you do not want that interaction, you can actually, it's flexible enough for you to change the interactions, right? So if you do not want one interaction or one change on one visual affecting the other visuals, and you want them to be, you do not want a particular visual to be affected by any of the other interactions, that is also possible. Okay, and this report, we are making them all interact, but let's just say I wanted my profits, the segment. I wanted the segment to more of be fixed, right? Like that shouldn't change regardless of the date I choose. This shouldn't change. I would go to view, and then I think okay, show you all right. So go to view, then in my view, let me just see to view. So this filters and formattings will do. Okay, so there's a sync slider, right? So sync slider, what it does is shows sliders across the different ones, right? So now let's look at, I'm looking for something specific here, but it's not showing for me yet. None of this. Okay. Hi, sorry. So there's this particular tool that allows you to not sync them. But I'm not seeing it as one of my options here. So let me just it seems I cannot make that change without probably logging in. Has anyone stopped the visualization here? Or if yeah.
Hello?
I
Yeah, I'm jumping up. Or did you have a question for me?
no. I think I just saw your message. So I was trying
okay.
to I was just trying to see what you were
Yeah. All right. Great presentation, Akua. Very good job.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think we've actually gone past our, sorry, I wasn't looking at the time. I think we've gone past our time by like an hour. But at this point, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions for me in terms of Power BI? Do you have anything? Have you tried Power BI for other reports? Do we have people who are currently using Power BI at work, or are new to Power BI? You can put that in the chat. Okay, so Christiana might have questions next time. Hi, Christiana. Thank you. Oh, okay. So self-taught, it's been a while since you used it. You're working, but you're working on a report. Okay, great. Okay, so Agnes has used it a bit, but the online version. Okay, good. Okay, anyone else? Oh, merge data from different files. Okay, great. So I know for today's session, we're looking at getting started. So we just look at one data source. For the session for next week, we'll probably look at two different tables. Okay, so looking at two different tables in the next meetup and the next session next week. So hopefully, Christiana, that would help you answer some of your questions. Okay. Hi, Nabia, you're on. Nabia, what's your experience with Power BI? I do know that she's used Power BI, so I'm just putting her on spot this time. Oh, Agnes, yes. Okay, yes. The slider feature, you'll be trying that out. That's great. Hi, Nabia. Are you able to unmute? Okay, Zainab has been using Power BI for about 8 months now for personal projects. Okay, okay. Zainab, so in this case, do you have the Power BI service or is just the Power BI desktop?
It's just the Power BI desktop.
It's just a Power BI desktop. Okay,
Yeah.
that's right. Oh, unfortunately, it seems Nabia is having issues, so she had to drop off. Okay. Oh, hi. It's Nabia back. Hi, Nabia. Is your microphone okay now? Okay, so just looking at, let's just do one quick thing. So probably this report, I don't know if it's for you, it's all white, right? So maybe visually it's not like the best. You can yeah, view. So that's why I was going to view. So for view, it gives you the ability to change the themes. Okay, so you can choose themes and just pick whichever one will be applied. So this is our current one. Let's go to this accessibility CC. I think there's one that's executive. So executive. So if you do pick that, it does change your color scheme. If you were to pick this, we have everything this way. Okay. All right. There are other things. So you get to choose whichever thing works for you. And then you can also make you can make like custom changes, right? It's not like you just have to go with a theme. So in this case, we can just pick executive is all white and I can still change like my background color a bit. So we'd go to our wallpaper and maybe make that gray. Okay, so this would be the design part. I'm not so much of a design person, so probably this wouldn't be the best choice that's out there. There could be other choices. But then in this case, that's what I'm looking at, and for me probably looks okay. So we can go with this design this way and then go ahead and share it. Okay. So if you do not have the service, sorry, if you do not have the service and you want to use it personally, or you don't have it in your company and you have this report and you'd want to share it with others, right? You downloading it would be saving or downloading it as the PBX file, right? And whoever would view it or look at it means that they have to install Power BI Desktop, right? You do not want to share it that way. There's also the export for you to export it to PDF. Okay, so you have this report, it's okay. Can export it to PDF. This means that they wouldn't have the interactions and they wouldn't get to see it the way you are able to at the moment, right? In terms of interacting with it and the data changing. But then you can actually export the report as it is to PDF and then share that with others. Okay, so not having Power BI Desktop wouldn't be like a limitation. If you'd want to create a very good report and still share it with others, aside the Power BI service, what you can do is export it to PDF and then email it out. Okay, so that's it. This is for the Power BI Desktop. This is you not having a Power BI service account and just working with Power BI Desktop, either personally or with a group of people. Okay. So let's move on and end our session because we're already 30. I know the meeting is for 2 hours, but I was initially planning for a 1-hour session and we've gone a bit over. So okay. All right, so now that we're done with our reports, let me just do. Is my slide changing? Do you see any changes? Okay, all right, great. I think it's changing. I was having issues changing my slide. So we do have the Power BI service. I mentioned that earlier. And for the Power BI service, this is a cloud-based data visualization tool, right? And this would also give you the ability to connect to data services, just like we've done with the Power BI desktop. But then there are a lot of other functionalities and collaboration features that are available with the Power BI service, right? If you do work in the Power BI desktop, you can also publish to the Power BI service. And when it's in the Power BI service, you can collaborate with others from that point. Then I mentioned that there's a Power BI mobile. So for Power BI mobile, that's for you to access your reports and dashboards from anywhere, interact with your data using those visuals and queries, and then you can share the insights on the go, right? So this is our simple first session on Power BI, especially Power BI desktop, and creating very simple visualization from an Excel sheet that has only one table. Okay. In our next session, what we'll be looking at, which is next week, what we'll be looking at is creating visuals and Power BI reports from multiple tables. Okay, so that's where we will look at a little bit of data modeling. We wouldn't go into like full tutorial on data modeling, but we'll look a bit into data modeling with Power BI and then create our visualization from that. Okay, that would be it for today. Any questions or any other contribution at this point? Okay, so nothing. Are we okay? Are we all clear? I want some reaction. Are we okay? Are we good to try Power BI if we haven't done so before? Or is this a refresher? Okay, thank you, Christiana. All right, so that would be all. Thank you for joining today's session. I hope to see you again next week, where we'll dive a bit more into Power BI. Thank you, bye.